What's up guys, it's Alex here, your friendly reef dork. Now for the last 3 weeks I've told you what my favourite fish, corals and invertebrates are in my tank, and today I'm going to tell you my favourite equipment on this tank. Now this is not a sponsored video, I've bought all of the stuff on this list myself, it's just kit I've grown to absolutely love over time. Now if this is your first time at the channel and you want weekly reefing goodness, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything. Right, let's get stuck in. First up on my top 5 favourite aquarium equipment is my Deltek 600i skimmer. It's easy to think that all skimmers are more or less the same and that there aren't many features to get excited about, but the Deltek has a DC pump which makes it easy to adjust if it overflows, and a water level tube that makes it a cinch to set to the right level for a wet skim or dry skim when you first install it. It also has a fail-safe in case the water level rises in your sump. With most skimmers the skimmer cup will fill with water when that happens, but the Deltek's clever elbow outlet prevents that from happening. I've also fitted a drain to the skimmer cup so I rarely have to remove and clean the cup itself. And the Deltek is fixed together with thumb screws which makes it easy to strip down when you want to give it its annual bath. Next up are my Tanze 8831 refugium lights. In the past I've always had refugium lights hanging from the ceiling of my cabinet. That takes up space, makes access awkward and creates unwanted algae growth in areas where the light spills into. But the Tanze light strips are waterproof and fully submersible, so I get zero light spill and they don't get in the way of my elbows when I'm reaching for my skimmer cup. They're not especially powerful, so I found I need 2 of them in this tank, but my pair grow Kato like crazy and help keep my nitrates below 5 parts per million. First on the podium of my favourite aquarium equipment is my GHL KH Director. The one parameter you need to test most often in a reef tank is alkalinity. Historically I've used the Hannah checker, which is also a great bit of kit, but I'm lazy and can never be bothered to test as often as I should, so having a device that does that for me every day is an absolute godsend. Now if you've seen my review of the KH Director, it might surprise you to see it on this list. There are some niggles with the software that I find really frustrating, and I'll link a card at the top of the screen with my full thoughts. But ultimately it gives me the peace of mind of knowing I will never get caught out by an alkalinity problem, and when you have as many SPS corals as I do, that is a very good thing indeed. And the runner-up is my Innovitec X-Filter automatic filter roller. There is no job on my tank I find more repetitive and boring than changing and cleaning filter socks every week. So outsourcing that task to a robot makes me very happy indeed. The filter rolls last me around 2 months, and changing it without removing the filter itself is easy enough. And while making room for the X-Filter in my Red Sea sump was a ruddy nightmare, installing it was relatively easy, as you don't have to hard plumb it like you do with other filter rollers. You just slide your overflow pumps into its back door and away you go. I've had it for just over a year now and it's run flawlessly without any maintenance. It keeps my water nicely polished as well as helping reduce nutrients in my tank, and most importantly it saves the bi-weekly argument of when Mrs. Reef Dork finds what she calls my poop socks in the washing machine. Before I get to my favourite bit of equipment and the one thing I hate, there are a few honourable mentions that just missed out. My Tanze algae scraper is one of my favourite purchases of all time, and the only reason it doesn't top this list is because I've talked about it in a million videos already. I also love my Tekin Wi-Fi plugs, as they make it easy to switch on and off all my equipment and allow me to set time schedules for my refugium lights that don't slip by several minutes a month like most plug timers. And finally there's my row of DJ switches which allow me to connect 8 plugs each, all with individual easy access on-off control. And they keep my cabinet looking much tidier than before, although admittedly still a bit of a mess. And my favourite piece of equipment on my Red Sea Reefer Peninsula 500 is my pair of Evergrow lights. Now I'm not saying these are objectively the best lights in the hobby, but they are the best lights for what I want, and they make my tank look fantastic. They give full 100% coverage that you don't get with most LEDs, which have a single cluster of diodes in the middle. And the royal blue I have on in the evening gets me out of my chair every day to gawk at my popping fluorescent corals. To my eye at least, it's the best royal blue of any of the lights I've had. I still miss the daytime colour and shimmer of my old Kessel lights, but the coverage and pop the Evergrows give is, to my eye at least, better than my previous Radion, Kessel or Maxspec lights, and my aquapores are growing like crazy, so everybody's happy. But it's not all love, and the one thing I hate on my tank is the Red Sea Reefer diaphragm valve. This is the valve that controls the flow of water from your display tank to your sump. While it does a great job at first,
many people who've had a Red Sea Reefer aquarium will tell you it becomes a pain in the backside over time. Making fine adjustments is impossible, so I can never get the water level in my weir box at the right height, which means I always have a trickle going down the emergency overflow, which is supposed to be for, emergencies and not everyday use. It also gets filthy, so should probably be cleaned every 6 months or so, although that will mean you have to spend days dialing it back in again afterwards. You can replace it yourself, but that's much harder to do on the Peninsula tanks, so I haven't done so on this tank. It's not a reason in itself not to buy a Red Sea Reefer, but water box aquariums come with a superior precision gate valve, which for me is a serious upgrade and one I'd like to see on the next generation of Red Sea tanks.
Now, lights are always likely to be at the top of the list because they are what make your tank look the best. But I'd really like to know what you guys think, so let me know what your favourite equipment is in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for next week. And until next time, happy reefing.